Hi, this is Danny Doyle. This is chapter 3 of my 0% Growth's Path of Radiance run, and I am joined by Jacob.
Hi, early preps are the best.
Early preps are the best, although these preps are not quite as good as the early preps that you would get in later games.
I mean, Riss is
Because
right there. Why don't you deploy him?
Well, I'm not allowed to. Story-wise, Ike is Grail's son. Grail is the head of the mercenaries, and he's trying to train Ike to be, like, the leader. So he's letting Ike take charge in missions and decide, like, what inventory people can have. For example, he can tell Oscar to give Titania an Iron Lance. I don't know why you would want to, but I don't think I'm using the Speedwing this chapter. I haven't decided who it's going to, so Oscar will hold on to that. But Ike does not get to decide who goes on missions. At least that's what I think the reason is for why Ike, Titania, Shannon, and Gatri are all force deployed, and then Oscar, Boyd, and Riss are banned.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Grail mentions that they're like going on their own separate mission or something somewhere, and Ike's like, and Grail's like, "Here, Ike, make some new friends."
The fun thing is that if Oscar, Boyd, and Riss die, Grail solos that mission. Path of Radiance has a lot of unique dialogue for if certain characters are dead, which is really cool. It's one of the things that makes it one of my favorite games in the series, aside from just nostalgia. Like, if Boyd and Oscar die in the first chapter, Titania talks about how, like, yeah, death is just the reality of the job. Like, sometimes people die.
Oh, cool. And I really wish more Fire Emblem games would kind of do that more often now.
I might touch on, like, some of my favorite of the unique dialogue when we get to those points. But in the meanwhile, we do have two new units, and both of them are better than these people. Maybe not better than Riss, but both of them are better than Oscar and Boyd. Let's look at Shannon first. He is a sniper. His strength leaves something to be desired, but snipers have 15% innate crit in this game. So he does have a chance to crit. He also he attacks from range, which is useful in terms of, like, later on when enemies outclass him, he can still attack them without getting countered. And the most important part of his toolkit is this right here. We haven't touched on skills yet because most of the skills have not come up and been very relevant. Provoke is actually very relevant for this playthrough because it increases the chance that people want to target him. It's like a tiebreaker. But people already want to target him because he can't counter. Because he's an archer. Archers can't counter at one range. So I use that to my advantage to keep some of the squishy people safe. Other than that, there's not too much remarkable about him. Like, his stats are fine. He has high HP and mediocre defense, so, like, he's gonna hold some choke points for me. Spoilers. What do you think of Shannon, Jacob?
Well, I don't see any fives anywhere, so I can't make a Gordon reference, so I guess I'll talk about Shannon instead. With 13 speed, he doubles things very easily with the steel bow, especially in the few chapters that he's in. So he's just really good range chip or kill damage. I mean, like, snipers usually are just like you delete one person, but I guess in a run like this, where you're gonna have like two people that actually delete enemies, it'll be good to have someone who can just say, "Yeah, I don't want this person on the map anymore."
There's also a lot of maps that are not route. Shannon is actually in one route map that he contributes a lot for, but most of his contributions, and it's mostly just the early game, because Shannon leaves you at some point. After Chapter 7, he just says, bye-bye, I don't like Ike. And you do have the opportunity to get him to rejoin you, but I'm probably not going to do that for reasons that'll become obvious later. But in the early game, he's good to have because they're not route maps, so just, like, keeping enemies occupied and deleting a single problematic person is good. And like I said, he's gonna choke some points.
Yeah, 32 base HP and 9 defense, it's much higher than just about anyone else you have at this moment. I mean, he had, like, the HP of Boyd and maybe, like, the defense of almost Oscar, potentially. I don't quite remember what their bases are.
He's got more defense than Oscar.
So he's got a little bit more defense than Oscar, and he's got a little more HP than Boyd, so
He can also choke points without countering enemies, so I don't have to worry about them eventually dying and making room for new ones. Speaking of choking points, Doga joke. Here's Gotri. He's a blue armor knight. He's a blue armor knight who's friends with a sniper who joins early on. I feel like that must be a Doga Gordon reference. He's got...
This guy has the 5 points.
He does have 5 points. He has 5 points of luck. He also has 14 points of defense and 12 points of strength, which are more relevant. 5 speed, that's bad. I don't like that. But he is bulky enough and combat ready enough and close enough to level 10 that he is a candidate for a master seal. I haven't decided who I'm giving the seals to yet. You get 3 in this game, but you really only get 2 on time to use them on units who need them. But he's a candidate for him just because he does start. He's going to require so little experience to get to that point. And he's bulky. He leaves you at the same time as Shannon, but he rejoins much earlier, so he might actually be useful to seal up. We'll see when we get there. There's another unit who I really want to use one on as well, and I haven't decided. I haven't looked at sort of the mid-game unpromoted cast and compared their stats. But he's pretty good. I'm excited to use him to choke some points.
Yeah, I think Gatri's going to kind of fill like an Oswin role for you at the moment. He's just going to be the guy that just takes no damage and it's really hard. I mean, if you think about it, like this is a game that really is built around growth units because of bonus experience. So having someone that's just so promotion ready at a high base level, it'll be really helpful since this is going to be his end stats aside from like stat boosts and promotions, of course.
And I mean, promotion gains aren't terrible in this. They're not as good as in GBA, but they're not terrible.
Something else I don't think we've thought about very much is occult scrolls, because Gotri, if you think about it, you get like 4 or 5 throughout the game, and Gotri would get Luna on promotion, which would be a little bit of a damage output increase.
Yeah, I hadn't actually thought about occult scrolls because normally you just put them on your normally you don't do anything with them, but in Maniac mode you put them on your Cavaliers because Soul means that you can potentially gain HP on enemy phase and survive when you wouldn't. But most of our Cavs are pretty bad. Like Astrid, Oscar, they're not going anywhere. So yeah, where to put the occult scrolls is interesting. Because in this game, you don't get free capacity for the skills you start with. So Gotri not starting with any skills means that I don't have to take anything off him to give him occult. I don't know. There's a couple of other people I've thought about potentially giving their occult skills. Because I'm going to be using like the bottom of the barrel for some of the late game, and they could use the help. But we'll see. But that's the team right now, and then obviously we still have Titania. We also have approaching, I think as soon as I end preps, is going to be Marcia. She's a Pegasus Knight. She is, in a vanilla playthrough, one of the best units in the game, but she'll be less good in this. But I do still want to save her, which means I have to rush the boat with Ike and Titania, because you do need to talk to her to get her to run away and not die. But yeah.
I remember my first time trying to do an Iron Man of this game, she died turn 1, which I looked at the percentage and it was like less than like a 5% chance of happening or something.
It can happen. Even on Maniac mode, it doesn't happen very often though. And oh my god, was she good on Maniac mode. Sorry, that's not what this playthrough is, but I just finished it very recently and I'm still blown away by her. Not as good in this, but she can rescue drop people, and the flyer is good. We'll talk more about her when we get her. I think I'm ready to start. Might reposition people a little bit. Usually I send Gotri to deal with this guy, but I kind of just want to get the house so I don't have to worry about it. And I also want Titania to get to the boat as quickly as possible. So this is probably good.
I think my usual strat is I send like Shannon to get the guy on the left, and I would use like Ike and Gatsby on the guys on the right, which Ike getting anyone is not an idea at the moment.
Yeah. I mean, first things first is I am sending Titania north. I want to clear the way for this. I want to clear the way for Ike to rescue Marcia. I also do want to start sending Ike north, but I don't think he can survive in like a ton of enemy ranges at the moment.
God bless
Yeah.
Path of Radiance for turning on enemy ranges.
Yeah, it is disappointing that they turn off at the start of enemy phase, so you can't. The prison chapter especially, I would like to leave those on all the time.
Yeah, and it's a little rough that it doesn't have like global ranges.
There
Oh,
we
nice
go.
crit. Saving a steel bow use.
Well, and turning them off is a little bit rough as well because you need to have. There we go. Yeah, so I think I can survive a hit from each of them. 10 attack, 9 attack. Unless he has 0 defense, he's fine. There's Marcia.
I can't wait to see the shove strat to play.
Yeah, I don't think there's going to be too much shove in this chapter. I definitely did some shoving in chapter 5 and chapter 4. The most shove strats that I've done so far has been in chapter 7. I haven't played too much farther than that, though. There's going to be a lot more shoving than normal here, though, because most of the good combat units are going to be infantry. And so mounted units can't shove. That's supposed to balance them, but like Kanto is just better.
Talking about balance right as Titania crit something. Okay.
Yeah, I think Titania is more balanced than Seth, but that's like a low bar to clear. Her growths are really good. She just like she falls off, whereas he doesn't.
Okay, so funnily enough, one of my least favorite things ever is whenever that last brigand misses and leaves her above half HP, so she doesn't use her vulnerary.
Yeah, you don't want only him to miss, but if 2 people miss, she's usually fine. Titania also can take care of the hand axe guy because he doesn't get countered. This guy's gonna get countered and die. So who has more attack?
I think one of these guys drops a hand axe, so just in case you need a free inventory slot.
Yes. Although I think this iron axe is getting close to breaking. Yeah. So if I need to drop something, I'll drop that. I didn't think about the inventory at the start of this.
We will never financially recover from the dropped iron axe.
I mean, in Maniac mode, Chapter 7 weapon uses were like pretty fucking low. Meanwhile, Ike, nope, can't do shit.
I think it's amazing that it only took Ike like 3 chapters to fall off.
And so this is Provoke coming in handy, because Provoke confined with the fact that Shannon doesn't counter means that these people want to attack him as opposed to attacking Ike, who is much weaker. Like, the Archer might attack Ike, but the Myrmidon attacked Shannon this turn, despite the fact that he could have dealt a significant amount of damage to Ike if he had wanted to. I also plan on, at some point, using speed up on enemy phase, just because Path of Radiance does get very slow, even without 0% growths. I'm gonna try to use it as little as possible, just to make this more watchable, but...
I think especially because you're going to get to a point where in Vanilla Path of Radiance, you just give all of your Paladins hand axes, and you just clear out all the enemies. In this, I don't think you're going to have a lot of really good one-two range, so...
What are you talking about? We get Largo, we get Khalil. It'll be fine.
I think for Khalil, you mean good 310 range.
Khalil has decent 1-2 range. Okay, so you can't...
Every time I play Path of Radiance, I completely underestimate just how great Khalil is with her base tome ranks to use, like, Meteor.
Oh no, I always remember. Khalil is... just chef kiss.
Although it always throws me off because she procs Nihil every time she attacks, so I'm like, oh, I got a skill. Oh, wait, it's Nihil. Trade strat.
I'm gonna give this kill to Gatri because, again, getting him experience is worthwhile since he is close to being able to be Master Sealed, but more importantly than that, if I can get him close enough that bonus experience will promote him, I save a Master Seal.
That is true.
I think they are sellable in this game. I know in Radiant Dawn you can't sell Master Seals, which is a frustration I'm running into in reverse recruitment, where I have a ton of Lagoos and no one to use Master Seals, but I can't sell them anyway. But I think they sell for like 5,000 in this.
Yeah, they sell for like 4,000 or 5,000 in this game.
Which money equals forges, and in the later portions of the game, you can forge silver weapons.
For some reason, I think you'll still be drowning in enough money that I think you won't. I mean, maybe like the third Master Seal you can afford to sell because, like, yeah, I don't think. You might be better off just using. How many enemies up there have 1-2 range? You might be
most
better
of them
just
don't.
using...
I think I'm going to clog the path to protect Ike.
Yeah, I think that hand axe is going to be so precious in later chapters that I think you might be better just using the iron axe.
Yeah,
here.
I think what I do is iron axe. She has 9 move. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yep, okay, I can do that. And does he? He doesn't reach. Okay. So
I mean,
iron axe
a lot
this
of like.
guy.
I know there's a lot of mages and like javelins in like that forest map where you have to like stealth through the forest. So having a hand axe on her is going to be so useful.
So because that map is an escape map, that is Oscar's best moment. That is the map where Oscar exists to give Ike +1 move.
You know, if Titania crits, you end the map.
I mean, either way. Oh, there we go. Yeah. From your lips to God's ears. But yeah, I've accomplished everything I needed to. I visited the house, I saved Marcia's life, and killed the pirate.
LTC strat.
Well, thank you all for tuning in. Old Man is very happy that we drove off the pirates. Then we get some of Titania's backstory, and I'm going to let y'all go. Have a wonderful day.
Bye.